In this lesson, we'll begin blending our water splashes into the silhouette of our runner's legs. Okay, so in the last lesson we did a lot of misting or painting in mist around our runner's legs, and you can see here that I've tapered that back quite a bit here, and I've actually got those layered underneath the other splashes here, so they're not covering those up, but you can see here if I turn those off and then turn those on, the difference that mist makes, kind of that misty water makes. So, coming in here, you'll see that I also added a few of the same type of blend mode, layer styles to the mist layer. It's not nearly as noticeable, but I went ahead and added them just because I wanted it to match with the other water droplets. So now at this point, if we come in here, we've seen here that the water looks pretty good, but it doesn't seem real integrated here with the silhouette of our runner. As a matter of fact, we can really see a clean silhouette here. So what I'd like to do at this point, let's go ahead and just drop in a new layer at the very top of our layers panel, and I'm just going to name this something like Paint Over. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab a brush. Let me go ahead and grab just a normal brush here, maybe with a tapered tip. Apply maybe my pressure sensitive settings to it, and we're going to come in and begin sort of doing the grunt work of blending these water splashes into the water of the legs themselves. So now ways we could do that is we could probably come in and sample this kind of this white area right here, and there we go, making sure that I have that set correctly. I want to integrate some of this white into kind of these highlights on the legs, the same color as the splashes themselves. So, but just like we're also painting in kind of the watercolor, let me go ahead and grab a brush to erase with as well. Just like we're also painting in that really bright white color of the water itself, we're also going to want to begin bringing in maybe some of these darker colors here, so that essentially our end goal is that we're breaking the silhouette. And at this point, it doesn't matter where I sample from. If I sample from the sky, I might take a chunk out of the watery silhouette from that. Whatever the case is, this layer is going to sit on top of all the other layers. So this is going to take a little bit of time, and granted a little bit of patience as well. So by no means will we get all of this done in this particular lesson, but I'm giving you kind of an idea of how I'd go about doing this. And honestly, while I'm in here, I might as well come in and even paint in some of this really bright white color. You can see it's really almost completely white. Just kind of layering it in some of these other areas where maybe there's some kind of frothy areas of the water. Just kind of detailing it out. But essentially, the real goal here is to just kind of run up and down the silhouettes of the legs, basically creating these naturally occurring, like basically deformations in the surface of the water. So we'll come in and maybe just paint in a little bit of that dark color here, maybe a little bit of the sky to hide that edge. You can kind of see where we're going with this. So obviously the end goal here is to make these legs look a little less human than they currently are. So thinking about kind of natural patterns that you would see in bodies of water, you might even pull up some reference for that if you need to. So we could always come in and bring in some of this texture. Maybe we use our clone stamp tool set to current and below, and use maybe a similar brush here to kind of bring in some texture into certain areas if we really want to. But for the most part, this is a painting step. I'm not too concerned with anything but blending this water into the legs that it's coming off of, essentially. So you can already see that that's starting to blend in there. If we kind of zoom out on that, it's giving these water droplets and this mist that we've spent time creating, it's giving it purpose, really integrating it with the runner pretty well. So come in here and just kind of attach a few more of these water droplets. We'll just kind of work our way down this left side of this leg. And, you know, obviously there's quite a bit of silhouette to work with when it comes to this, so I'll probably end up doing the rest of this in between lessons. But if you want to pull up the next lesson's project file, you'll kind of see where I ended up as far as what that silhouette has changed into. All right, looking really good here. And we'll just come in here. Now, while I am breaking the silhouette, I'm not completely destroying it. Keep that in mind. There's a big difference in painting an entirely new silhouette and just kind of roughing up the one that we started with. So keep that in mind as you're coming in here. And don't forget to zoom out and take a look at kind of what it's looking like. If you have too many of the same pattern, like these chunks right here, maybe we should come in and fix that. We'll just kind of paint that one in sort of like that. And maybe even sample some of this gray from the shadows. So we've got a really large range of color here to work with. So don't feel at all limited to just white and like the sky color. Feel free to add some of these other colors in as well. We come in and do sort of a drop-like shape right there. Kind of peel that back some. Now, we obviously want to be really careful around these big areas, kind of these areas where we layered those images in to create the water droplets. So those are going to be the areas that really require more work to blend them in. So I'll probably start here kind of blending in the bright areas, the bright whites, sort of like that. And I might come in here and start to bring some of these darker values further out from the silhouette as well. Maybe some of these oranges and these browns. So it really starts to have the feeling that this water is splashing out and away from the mass of the leg. Just sort of like that. And you can see we've almost reached the shoe at this point. But if I were to zoom out and take a look at that, you can see here that water is much better integrated. Let me go ahead and hide kind of what we've been painting over here. You can see here that just by the little bit of time that I've spent painting this edge along the left leg of our runner, we've actually done a fairly good job of integrating in those water droplets into the mass of the legs. So, you know, I named this layer Paint Over because I'll probably be coming back to this layer just to make other corrections as we proceed in finishing this image off. But at this point, let's go ahead and move on to the next lesson. I'll go ahead and finish up the touching up of these water droplets in between lessons. But at this point, thinking about all this water falling off of our runner's shoes, what else would this be affecting? Well, we talked about maybe it splashing on the road. Now she's wearing some tennis shoes, so it's probably going to be having some kind of effect on this fabric that the tennis shoes are made out of. So in the next lesson, let's go ahead and look at how we might go about adding some wetness to these tennis shoes.